Hello, everybody, and welcome back into Gamecock Central. My name is Kendall Smith, joined alongside of Collyn Taylor. Love the hat, by the way, Collyn. Is that a little Mickey Mouse moment you got going on?
It's a little Mickey Mouse moment. James Hicks also said after availability today he likes the hat. So this was my wife-inspired purchase while we were down at Disney a few weeks ago, and I've recently found it buried under a few other hats that I have that I circulate, and it's served me well over the last month or two.
Michaela, Collyn's wife, never misses on the fashion trends, I will say. She is the best, but that was actually a perfect lead-in, Collyn, talking about James Hicks on South Carolina's baseball team, because today on Gamecock Central, we are doing a South Carolina baseball mailbag. So we are answering all of the most asked questions from the fan base at this point in this season. So South Carolina is just coming off of a loss on Tuesday to Charlotte. That game was actually up in Charlotte, North Carolina at Truist Field, and they're preparing for a weekend series on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against Missouri at home this weekend. It's their first SEC series at home of the year. So lots to get to today, Collyn. And I want to start things off kind of talking about that game on Tuesday. South Carolina was off to a hot start before, 20-1 going into that game. And then they lost to Charlotte. And I think that's something a lot of people weren't exactly expecting, losing to a mid-major school during a midweek game. But Collyn, with that loss, do you think South Carolina fans need to hit the panic button right now?
No, they don't. It's a midweek game. Sometimes you run into those where the other team hits the ball really well with runners on in scoring position, which is what Charlotte did. And then other times you don't, and you've seen that. So it was one bad inning for South Carolina. You lose 6-2 when you give up 5 in the third. So off a 3-run home run. So if the wind is blowing in and that home run doesn't go, no, we're not pushing the panic button. Take the first 21 games of the season as the sample size more so than just this one. But no panic button. And South Carolina is incredibly confident in its abilities, in its roster construction. And no, I think this team will have plenty more wins under its belt as you go through the rest of the, 9 weeks left you have of the season.
And obviously more important to win those SEC games, and South Carolina will have a big opportunity to make a statement this weekend as they take on a very good Missouri team that just swept Tennessee last weekend. And Collyn, I want to kind of get into talk about the pitching for South Carolina. So we've seen a consistent weekend rotation. You've got Will Sanders on Friday, Noah Hall on Saturday, and then Jack Mahoney on Sunday. Do you think this has been working for South Carolina? Is there anything you'd change up with this pitching rotation as the season continues?
No, I don't. Will Sanders is your highest potential guy when you talk about the MLB draft. Projected first or second round talent. He didn't get the fall to throw the same way Noah Hall did, the same way Jack Mahoney did. So you have to look at Jack and Noah being more so in midseason form than Will, because Will didn't have the fall to throw. And he only had that 3-week ramp up in scrimmages before the season really kickstarted. So no, I wouldn't change anything. I think you're going to see goodwill more, sooner rather than later as he continues to go through his progression. So no, I wouldn't change anything. And the only reason I would change something is they got I think 3 straight or 3 of their next 4 series after Missouri or Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. So I would, there's the option there of, hey, if we want to keep Will on Friday, we can start somebody new on Thursday, keep Will at Friday, Noah on Saturday, and then kind of fan angle from there. But that's the only way I would change a starting rotation if I was Mark Kingston and pitching coach Justin Parker.
Well, obviously, it's been working out pretty well for South Carolina. They've got great records.
Hard to argue with the results.
Exactly. Don't fix it if it ain't broke, as they say, and things are working out well right now. But I think another pitching question that we saw a lot was about Tuesday's game. So you saw freshman Eli Jersenbeck start things off for South Carolina on the bump against Charlotte. You didn't see James Hicks. And when there have been Tuesday and Wednesday midweek games, those were the guys that South Carolina has gone with all season, usually Jersenbeck on Tuesday and then Hicks on Wednesday. Do you know why South Carolina maybe decided to start Jersenbeck over Hicks in that one midweek game this week?
Well, it's a nod to Jersenbeck getting a start in Charlotte, where he's from. So that's one. And Hicks, honestly, has been really valuable out of the bullpen. You need him more there for 3 games over the course of an SEC weekend. And so when Jersenbeck isn't starting, these midweek games of late, it's been Eli Jones, it's been Matthew Becker, and guys that just need continuing to get more innings. Whether that's projecting them as a starter moving forward or not. But Hicks has been elite out of the bullpen. There will be a story on him later today at Gamecock Central on Thursday. So he's been elite in the bullpen. His Clemson game, he comes in and does what he does against Georgia, where he throws 2 pitches and gets out of that 9th inning jam in game 1 and then closes game. It was a run rule, but closes game 2 in that 7th inning. So he's been incredibly valuable. But we talk about shifting rotation, and if the guy's going to start on Thursday to keep Will and Noah on their weekly schedule, you're probably looking at James Hicks to be that guy, because he throws strikes, because he just does a lot of really good things for you, and he can get guys out quickly. I've been really impressed with James Hicks, and I don't think it's something people don't talk about enough, but he's only like 12 or 13 months removed from Tommy John surgery. He's really closely related to that. And it's been really, really impressive to watch. And he's one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. And good things come to those who are nice and work hard. And James is one of those people.
He complimented your hat earlier today.
Yeah. So I have to
gets brownie points.
I have to say nice things.
You love him for that. And yeah, I mean, that's so cool. Just coming off of Tommy John surgery. And, most people watching this probably already know, but that is a massive surgery. That's not something that's easy to recover from. And he's been absolutely fantastic. And then on top of that, you have Jack Mahoney, who's also been great as well. He was coming off of Tommy John surgery too. So just 2 really incredible players for South Carolina with a ton of grit to be able to come back after those 2 situations. But Collyn, we got a question, and it's kind of about the talent that we've seen on the team. You and I did a lot of talk in the preseason about who we expected to really step up to the plate, no pun intended, for South Carolina. So this question asks, who has contributed more during the season than you expected in the preseason? And then who is maybe a player who's contributed a little less that you thought would maybe be contributing a little more by this point?
Yeah, I thought I'll start with the guy who's contributing way more than I thought he would, and that's Ethan Petri. He's been dynamic for this team. He's been great in the role they're asking him to play, which is right field and hit in the middle of that order. They want him to be the 5-hole guy. And Ethan had a really bad preseason. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. And turned to the corner late, and has adjusted his swing and is just teeing off. And he hits 500 in his first SEC series with 3 bombs and I think 7 RBI. He's been everything you've wanted him to be, a top 50 kid coming out of high school that's really starting to tap into that. So if you're Ethan, that's a guy that if you had asked me a week before opening day, how many at-bats was Ethan Petri going to get in the first 23 games? I couldn't tell you. He'd have 5 starts under his belt, and he's been your everyday guy in right field. So good for Ethan. A guy that hasn't played a ton that I thought would be Evan Stone, a guy that is electric and elite defensively, but just has struggled on the offensive end from an average perspective. His on-base percentage is good, but he just hasn't hit the way that you'd need maybe your 9-hole guy to, and he struck out a good bit as well. So he's someone that I thought would be playing a little bit more, but he just hasn't because of some of the struggles at the plate from an average perspective. Still walking, still getting hit by pitches, but just not getting hits the way that they need someone to. And those are the 2. But if Evan Stone can continue to progress and hit for average when he gets those opportunities and take quality at bats, then you'll start to see him maybe a little bit more in center field to start game. But right now, you're probably looking at a Dylan Brewer, Will Tippett platoon there as you look ahead towards these next 3 or 4 weeks.
South Carolina is going to need all they've got this weekend against Missouri. It's definitely going to be a tough one, especially if they want to get out the brooms and get the sweep this weekend, Collyn. But what do you think it's going to take from the Gamecocks to be able to win this series against Missouri?
You have to pitch out of some trouble. Missouri is a team that likes to string together some hits. They don't hit for the same amount of power South Carolina does, which granted, no team in the country hits for as much power as South Carolina does right now. And you got to find ways to, get hits. You saw it against Charlotte when they don't get guys, when you don't get big hits with runners on or runners in scoring position, the offense can bog down and you see a good number of strikeouts. So you need to continue to improve. And this is a really, really good Missouri pitching staff. So you got to find ways to manufacture maybe a little bit. These project to be pretty close games. So if you manufacture, you got to find ways to get those big hits with guys on. And if South Carolina can do that and pitch out of some jams, which they've really been good at doing on the pitching side of things, you feel pretty good about them taking at least 2 out of 3.
It's really hard to believe that we're over a month into South Carolina's season. It's not.
We're a third of the way through. We're all I feel like it's a third of the way through at this point. Yeah.
It's really sad to hear that because that means time is just going by faster and faster. We're also a week out from opening day for Major League Baseball. Are you ready? 1:20 p.m., the 30th of March, Cubs Brewers kicking things.
I can't wait. I got my MLB TV subscription, and Michaela's probably excited to get rid of me for 3 hours a day over the course of the next few months. So
it's going
to Cubs baseball, baby.
I think the Cubs are going to be pretty good this year.
I think they'll be strictly okay. I think they'll be strictly okay.
You know what? We will take any improvement from.
Yes. Yes.
So
very much so.
Yes, Collyn and I, we are both born and raised Cubs fans, if you can't tell. So
yes.
Anyways, that's enough of that. Enough baseball talk for the day. Collyn, really appreciate your insight as always. And looking forward to keeping up with all that South Carolina baseball has in store this weekend over on GamecockCentral.com. I know you will keep everybody updated as always, but I'm sure we'll be right back here talking plenty more baseball. It's not stopping for either one of us anytime soon.
No, so not even close.
Yeah, not close. We'll be back soon, though, with more. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Again, he's Collyn Taylor. I'm Kendall Smith, and this has been another South Carolina baseball mailbag here on Gamecock Central.